Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me for my Like Page Best Practices webinar. I hope you're doing good tonight. Um, I just wanted to put this together because a lot of people struggle with knowing how to present their like page in a way that retains their followers and gets people to want to stick around and check in on you and see what's going on. Um, so before we get into it, let me just introduce myself. I'm Heather Noel. I'm a 27-year-old stay-at-home mom and wife. I became a VA after being forced to quit my grocery store job at 6 months pregnant due to some pregnancy issues. They didn't want to put me in a position that was a lot less strenuous, not necessarily, stand around or anything, but I came home one night in so much pain that my husband just said that, just don't go back. It's not worth it. So with his support, I turned to the internet to try to find something to supplement his income, and ended up coming across Tara Bialik, and we built a little relationship through Elance, and now I'm her full-time assistant. I've been with her for about 2.5 years now. So I started with Tara and slowly began growing my VA business from there. And now I work exclusively with Beachbody coaches and have spent the last 2.5 years checking out a lot of training and just immersing myself in the Beachbody coach world. And so now I'm working as a VA graphic designer and a Beachbody business consultant, where I'm able to kind of use my experience to help struggling coaches push forward in their business and break through, whatever barriers are holding them back. So in today's webinar, I wanted to talk to you about really 6 really important topics. I want to start at the beginning, like what's a Facebook like page, because there's always somebody who doesn't have one yet and doesn't understand what it is and what the benefit of it is. And then I'm going to get into the basic, the most basic areas of the like page before we move on to mastering look and feel and creating attractive content and branding and some do's and don'ts. At the end, if anybody has questions, I'll have a Q&A session as well. So part 1 is just, what is a Facebook like page? It's just Facebook's way of separating business accounts from those of everyday people, and also kind of protecting everyday people from incessant spam messages and stuff like that. They place some restrictions on like pages that aren't necessarily on personal pages. But there are advantages and disadvantages, and I'm going to kind of go over both. In the plus side, it's really great for expanding cold market. It can save you from spending hours and hours and hours going through mutual friends and groups and networking and, combing through everybody. With the Facebook advertising platform, you can attract people to you and sift through the people that come to you to find the ones that you really want to work with. And it's also really great for separating your business from your personal life as well. The number of likes, this is the big advantage, the number of likes that you can get is unlimited, whereas if you are sifting through mutual friends lists and groups and stuff like that, you can only add 5,000 people, and then you have to start getting rid of people so that you can bring in the new ones. So I definitely recommend that probably once you hit probably either Emerald or Diamond, you need to consider looking into a Facebook like page. The disadvantages of it is that there's a small learning curve, so it's not something you're going to want to do if you're like brand new coach, because you have so much other coach training that you need to go through, and you know, you want to take the time to get through that before you dive into learning how like pages work. Advertising is tricky. That's kind of a disadvantage. It takes some time and trial and error to get through it, but it's not unlearnable. Another downside is that you have to be super conscious of what you're posting because everything is public. You do have control over whether you hide things from your news feed or you know, you can delete posts, but once it's up there for the world to see. There's no filtering that. And then the last disadvantage to like pages, which is something that personal pages do have, is you are unable to tag or initiate messages with followers. However, people who are hanging out on your page can message you through your page. The downside to them messaging you is a lot of the time you won't get a notification that it came through. So you have to make sure you check your like page every day, which is kind of a plus and a negative. But the great thing is for right now, if you really want to tag either yourself or somebody else in your photo, once you make your post, you can go back and open up your photo and then add a tag to the image, but you can't tag people in your actual posts. But my bottom line is, if you intend to operate your Beachbody business on Facebook and you are in this for the long haul, a like page is a must, because I can truly attest to the fact that there are so many coaches out there who make the mistake of completely running through their warm market and not having a like page in place to bring a cold market to them to work through. So if you're ready to take that step, I definitely recommend you do it. So I know I said we were going to go back to basics, and I mean the basics, like naming your page and putting up descriptions and choosing what kind of page you're going to run. And I put together kind of some tips for each little section here. The first section is obviously the name. You want to use your own name in some way. Some people will do like a little phrase with their name in it. Like I have a client, Deb Gordon, her page is It's a Healthy Fit with Deb Gordon. It just really, it depends on you whether you want to be that out of the box type or you just want people to kind of know your name and who you are. But you do want to make sure that the name of your page makes sense for your brand and it makes sense to your target audience as well. You don't want people who've never seen you or your page hopping on and not being able to connect your page name with what they're actually seeing in the content. The next thing is choosing your page type. So this is for Beachbody coaches specifically. You're going to want to go with probably public figure or coach. Most of the other options aren't going to apply to a Beachbody business. Now, I highly recommend the public figure option unless you have some sort of personal trainer experience or fitness experience to go along with the Beachbody coach business. Because when you select that coach option, it can confuse people. They'll think that you're like a personal trainer at a gym or something. And so, you know, if you've got the accolades to kind of go along with that, then sure, great, go for it. Otherwise, go with the public figure. And the next really, really, really important section is actually the About section. I kind of skipped over one up there for a second. But this About section is actually what shows up on the right side of your like page that kind of gives people a text message size overview of what your page is about. Basically, you just want to make that a very, very brief description of who you are and what you do, or some sort of like mission statement type sentence. And if you're curious, A good one that Tara has used for a long time is, I think it's healthy eating, faith in God, and fitness are my passion, something like that. It just kind of, in just a few words, describes what her page is about, what's going on there, and what she's about. The next important thing is the mission statement. And again, I don't think it needs to be exactly the same as the whatever you put under about, but your mission statement needs to be clear and concise. What are you going to do? For who? How are you going to do it? What are your goals? That kind of thing. And it should, again, be no longer than a text message, but it has to be super impactful. And then the last thing is the long description section. This is where you can kind of put a little bit of your story and a little bit of information about who you are, what you're about, and what your mission and passion are, and why should that person stick around? Like, what are they going to get from your page? What will they connect with on your page? What it boils down to with this little section here is the more information people have about you, the more they trust you. And it's a subliminal thing. They don't automatically think, oh, there's a lot of info here, I can trust this person, in the front of their mind. But as they read over everything, that trust is built. The more they have to read, the longer they're hanging around on your page, and the more solid that trust is. So the next part of my basics section is the about section. And I just kind of put together a little bit of what to fill out and what to leave blank type thing. Accolades are great if you have them. If you don't have anything like that, it doesn't discredit you as a coach. But if you do, it can only help. It only gives you that that unique ability to say, I have experience in a field that's going to help you. And people really do respond to that. But I don't think you necessarily need to freak out if you don't have something. And I noticed, or I know I put here certifications, and you might be wondering what I meant by that. I'm talking literally, you could put like size certified or certified to teach country heat or PIO, whatever. If you're certified in any kind of Beachbody program, plug it in there. That means that you took the time to actively learn a class that you could teach other people, and people value that. Also, I know a lot of coaches are into marathons or are other athletes. Listing that you actively participate in those things, again, builds credibility because it lets people know that you have knowledge in the fitness industry. And also, it can be a really great way to share a part of who you are on your page overall, not necessarily just in the accolades department. Basically, you can put anything that supports your credibility as a coach. The next really, really important thing that I think most coaches should absolutely 100%, whether they have descriptions or not, focus on is contact information. You want people to have your email address, a phone number. That's optional, but if you're not comfortable with using your personal cell phone number or your home phone number, there's a service that Google operates called Google Voice. And basically, they give you a phone number that forwards to your real phone, and you can give the forwarding phone number to anybody that you want that you don't want to have your real number. It works like an email inbox almost. You can get voicemails in there. You can receive text messages. And then I think you can text and call from your phone, but you can't do it from the computer. If you try to do it from the computer, they charge you. But overall, the service is pretty much free. Another snippet of contact information you might want to include is any other social media platforms that you're using frequently. If you have a Snapchat but you never log into it, I probably wouldn't list that. And then the last thing is a website. Now, when I say website, and I'm sure you see over here on the other side, not to list your Beachbody website, I really do mean that. you want to put something like what I have, heathernoelvas.com, or, insert your website here. You do not want to list that Team Beachbody website for a couple of reasons, but the biggest reason is it can scare people away. It takes away your opportunity to build trust and build a relationship, all because they were curious about what that website was. They clicked it, they open the page, and they get this Beachbody screen, which indicates to them that you're going to try to sell them something. And this business isn't about selling, so you don't want to give them that direct line. You want to build the relationship and meet them where they are and meet their needs before you ever try to sell. So for that reason, don't list it. A couple of other things to leave blank are the products and services section. That's more suited to people like me who actually have services that they're trying to sell. You do not want to list Beachbody programs or anything like that under there. That it really doesn't apply to you, and it's not going to hurt you to leave it blank. And the last thing is that official page section. That's really only used for celebrities and big name brands, and there's not much you can do to become an official of yourself. So just leave it go. But what it comes down to is that your about section is one of the first places people browse on your like page, and you want to make sure it's up to par, that you're presenting yourself in a way that people connect with. You don't want to be salesy, and you don't want to scare people off with the stuff that you put up there. Bottom line, just give your visitors as much information about you, your mission, and your business as possible. So that brings the basic section to a close, and we're going to go ahead and move into mastering look and feel. So first section there is profile picture. This might seem obvious to some, but maybe not to others. But your profile picture on your like page specifically needs to be a clean, well-lit photo of you. It needs to show your face. It can't be too far away. Like, you want to be able to look at you want your followers to be able to look into your eyes and see your genuine smile and that kind of thing. So mid-chest up is best. And I and several others recommend that you update that about every 1 to 3 months, just to kind of keep a current visual of yourself up there. And if possible, your profile picture should be a solo pic of you. Family pics are okay as long as it's clear which one in the picture is you. And also, if you're going to do a family pic, you're going to want to make sure that your brand and your target audience line up with that. Like, you want your audience to respond to that picture emotionally in some way, or feel a connection to it. So if you're not marketing to families or moms or what have you, then a family pic isn't going to be relevant. And then the next really, really big section is the cover photo. And I can't stress this one enough. Like, this is top of the list important, that you have a clean, professional, well put together cover photo, because the very first thing people actually see when they open up your page is the images that are there, your profile picture and your cover photo. If they get that first glance and it doesn't look clean, and it doesn't, it's kind of hard to, maybe there's blurring, or something's cut off, or it's not positioned correctly, or it doesn't even relate to you and you just put something up there, people pick up on that. I recommend using like a regular picture only if it fits nicely and it's not blurry. Otherwise, I would recommend that you actually design some kind of cover photo that maybe has a few pictures in it and maybe some wording that kind of goes around your business. If you're unsure there, you can check out other coaches and see what they're doing. But the standard size is about 1200 by 444 pixels. So if you want to use a regular picture, I actually would recommend you go into Canva and create a new document with that size, and then position your picture in there. and download that and then upload to your cover or for your cover photo. It does a couple of things. One, that makes sure that that picture is going to fit. You can get kind of a visual of how it's going to look before you actually upload it, which is great. And then it also ensures that when you do upload it, that there's no blurring, that nothing's distorted or cut off. You're guaranteed to have it display the way that you want it to. And that cover photo needs to accurately represent you and your business. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about family pics. If you aren't targeting people in the family and mom market, then probably not a good idea to put pictures of family. You want to make sure that any pictures you include in your cover photo are relevant. And when in doubt, delegate. A lot of coaches are intimidated by the fact that they have to create graphics for their social media, but also don't realize that there are people out there who do that for a living, and most times with fairly decent pricing as well. So you don't have to be a master. I want you guys using your time wisely. The rule of thumb is if it takes probably more than 30 minutes to an hour, it's taking too long, and you need to delegate it to somebody who can knock that out for you. And then the last section that I want to cover in the look and feel area is there's now something new that Facebook has just recently in the past couple of months put out, where they do like a preview section of your photos, videos, and posts. This is really important because it's automatically populated with content from your like page. It's designed for people visiting your page to have a snapshot of what's going on there. And the only control you have there is to make sure that the content you're putting on your like page is attractive and eye-catching. We're gonna get into that in a second. But I really want to reiterate here, if I didn't already, that you do not want a lot of salesy type stuff popping up on your page, because again, like putting your Beachbody website in there, it scares people off. It prevents them from making a connection with you. Your like page needs to be a way for people to connect with you and get to know who you are, both as a person and obviously as a brand. And so you want to always be positive and smile and make sure that your face is showing up there often. So kind of on the topic of creating attractive content, I kind of broke this down into 3 categories. The first is photos and images. Bottom line, you're going to always want to use an image or video with every post. So because again, it's the first thing people see when things are put in front of them is the image before they read the text. So the images really need to reflect your personality. They should look clean, eye-catching, attractive. And if you're not sure how to achieve that, Canva.com is a really, really great website for graphic development. And they have a little section called their design school. And it will kind of give you some tips and tricks on how to create clean, attractive content. And again, like I said before, your face should show up often. My recommendation is that if you're tempted to post something with a Beachbody brand on it, swap it out with a pic of yourself and maybe put some words over the image instead. Because what happens is when you do images that have Beachbody's products and programs and such in there, again, you get the salesy effect, but also you're not branding you. You are the value to the people who are coming to you to join your groups. It's you that really ties them into it, not the product. Like, Beachbody is your platform and not your brand. So you should not be Beachbody Beachbody branded stuff all the time on your page. Yes, it's okay to talk about your Shakeology. Another thing I recommend is kind of trying to shy away from always mentioning the name of the program you're using if you're posting your workout pictures. the reason for this is not because I don't want you to share what you're doing. It's actually because it doesn't evoke any kind of curiosity. And so people are just going to go straight to Google and look up 21 Day Fix. They're not going to message you about it first, because people don't naturally just reach out to somebody. They have to be prompted in some way. So getting them to ask, what program are you doing? And you're seeing amazing results. That's a really great way to start a conversation. So moving into the next section, I want to talk about articles and recipes. These are a great way to add value, but you don't want these to be the only thing you post. And I see a lot of coaches do this. They get to this point in their business where they just don't know what to post anymore. And so they will post like 3 recipes a day, or, what I call clickbait articles that lead out to other websites with information. They can be great sometimes, but when it becomes the only content on your page, it takes away from your personal style, from your personal brand. If you are going to do them, great. I'm okay with like 1 a day, but they need to be attractive, they need to be relevant, and they need to be credible. And you don't want to be posting like, unless you're talking about, oh man, I'm really craving some chocolate, let me post this picture of brownies just to tease you. For the most part, you're going to want to try to post clean stuff that kind of reflects the lifestyle of a Beachbody coach. Excuse me. So the last section I want to talk about is the biggest one, and that's videos. So more than anything, live videos are the absolute best thing you could do for your page. Uploaded videos are great, but live videos, they almost always kill it. The great thing about these is they can be like candid moments of your life, so people can actually get a peek at what's really going on with you. Or they can have a purpose, like, a cooking show, or some kind of inspirational thing that you do, or, anything that, there's moms out there who will do like mom life stuff. Anything that really ties into who you are and what your brand is about. Live videos can be used for that. But the really great thing is when you go live regularly, or even just at a certain time of the day for a consistent reason, again, like a cooking show or some other thing that you can consistently do for your audience, your followers start to expect it and get excited for it. And then what happens is they see your consistency with that, and they notice when you stop showing up. So whenever possible, if you're not going to do a live video, whenever possible, you need to upload videos directly to Facebook. Try to avoid using YouTube links. The other thing that's really, really, really important is not to make your videos too long, or with too many distractions or a lot of rambling, or really shaky, stuff like that. You want to make the first 3 to 15 seconds, or maybe even 15 to 30 seconds, as catchy and valuable as possible to get people to want to stay. The average person watches a video for between 3 and 30 seconds, and if they don't like what they're hearing, they move on. We're in the age of instant gratification now, and so you have to really draw your audience in at the beginning. One thing I recommend is when you go live, try not to noticeably wait for other people to hop on. Instead, fill that time with like a quick overview. Hey, thanks for joining me for my top 10 tips on blah, blah, blah. And maybe talk about why you're doing the video, and then introduce yourself briefly like I did at the beginning of the webinar. My name is Heather Noel, and this is who I am. This is why I'm giving you this information and why I'm qualified to give it to you, something like that. And then you kind of, after that, maybe you've got a good minute or so in, and you can then move into the actual content of your live video. And then you see the big image here. You want to create a buzz with what you're doing on your content. You want to get people engaging with you, so you want to be making posts that encourage people to answer a question or give an opinion, or that your audience really connects with or will laugh at, things like that. The best way to start a relationship is to build an emotional connection through just what people are seeing. Excuse me. So the next section is actually probably one of the most important, and it's about creating a personal brand. Because the bottom line is Beachbody is your platform. It's not you. It's not, it's not everything when it comes to your business. Beachbody is the platform for your desire to change lives or your desire to change your own life. And so creating your personal brand and not using all of their stuff all of the time is probably the best thing that you could do for your business. My top tips for that are picking 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 fonts, and you use them consistently. Not necessarily on all the fonts on one image, but just they're recognizable and people notice that. Then you want to pick a few colors. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my toddler doesn't want to go to bed tonight. So you want to pick a few colors and use them consistently. And you want people to be able to kind of recognize your content. If you enjoy a certain few filters on your photos, just choose a few to regularly use. Don't go crazy and do a different one every day or something. Another really big point is, again, branding yourself and not Beachbody. You want to write posts and use images that sound like you so people know it's you talking without really having to look. They feel confident and comfortable with actually clicking the read more button, and it doesn't feel like an advertisement all the time. Because as you well know, when browsing your Facebook newsfeed, advertisements get kind of annoying and out of hand. So it's really refreshing as coaches if you can create ad copy that people connect with emotionally, and it's not just, hey, check out this great product. Personal branding can also mean like something really unique that you do, like a special type of quote. Like I know a coach who just once a day she posts something that's really positive, like give yourself a hug, or really silly positive stuff that makes you kind of giggle. And it's usually like no more than like 3 lines long is how she does it. And so I automatically recognize when this coach's stuff is coming up in my feed. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. Doing that is a really great way to stay real, to stay multifaceted. But also you have to be careful not to get boring with it either. Again, that also goes into the people seeing you be consistent, and so they're more attracted to you. They recognize that this thing that you're doing is not just a random one-off type thing. Another thing is consider having logos made for your personal brand, especially, and then also your team brand, which is really great. They don't have to cost you an arm and a leg, but you can get them done custom made with just the style that matches to you. I don't recommend going to the websites where you can create a logo for like $30 and you plug in your information and you get to pick an icon and stuff. Like those are not really authentic, and they're not going to reflect you. So I actually recommend finding a graphic designer that can specialize in doing logos. If you're looking for somebody, I can do that. I'll get into that later at the very end. But definitely outsource whenever possible, and just make sure you're working with somebody who understands your style and the look that you're going for, and not just necessarily somebody who's looking to make a quick buck. So this comes into my very last section before the Q&A, do's and don'ts. These are just really generalized tips that I've kind of come across in my career, and didn't really fit into the other things we spoke about. So What you should do is post 3 to 4 times a day. 4 is actually optimal, and I have received feedback that posting more than 4 times a day can cause your engagement and interest in your page to go down, because then people feel overwhelmed and annoyed. I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but for a couple of coaches who were posting 5 times a day, they did experience that. These are people that I've been working with for a few months to a couple of years now. So the next thing is just show your life and who you are. Don't feel like you have to put yourself into a box. You need to be yourself and be natural with it. You need to share and show your journey consistently, but with variety. And what I mean by that is I don't want to see you posting the same exact workout video every single day. It may be a different workout, but the angle is the same and the length is the same and just about everything is the same. And there's nothing to make me want to click view after like 3 times. So I recommend, every once in a while a sweaty selfie, every once in a while a video. Maybe one day you create your own workout moves or something. Some coaches will do that. They'll do like little mini HIIT workouts for their followers. And then you should also post things that your target market relates to and identifies with. Because as we've all heard, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so if you're not consistent and real with the content on your page, you're not going to get consistent and real people joining your challenge groups and signing up for coaching. And I know it looks like the don'ts list is much longer, and it's that way for a reason. Because there are a lot of missteps that people tend to make on their pages that I don't want you to have an issue with. So I don't want you to stop using your personal page. As a matter of fact, you should be using your personal page to kind of supplement who you are. Because what's going to happen is, as your business grows, you're going to be pulling people you've never spoken to before from your like page to your personal page. And so you want to make sure that you look like the same person. Maybe your personal page has like a lot more family stuff, a lot more lifestyle stuff. That's not to say your like page shouldn't contain those things, but probably not as often. Your like page is about providing value and drawing interest and building relationships, whereas your personal page is like the next step up. They're getting to know you even more. Another thing I don't want you guys to do is to create an internet persona, which basically just means that you only post selfies a certain way, or basically not being true to who you really are, because they're hard to keep up with. These internet personas, they're hard to keep up with and stay consistent with too. What happens is, if you're so stuck in being this rigid type of person on social media versus real life, it can be easy to misstep, and then that brings down your authenticity. But it's also, it can show through in your private messages and conversations with other people that, the person you portray yourself to be on social media isn't necessarily all of who you are, if that makes sense. So the next thing I don't want you to do is, again, be overly salesy. You want to share the benefits of Beachbody, but with subtlety. You don't want to run sales on your page, like the next 3 people to click like on my post get a week's supply of Shakeology for free, or so. You don't want to do stuff like that. It's tacky, and it's not going to actually attract people to you. It's going to repel. So try not to be super salesy. Share your personal journey and what the business and the programs are doing for you and for your health. And that, more than anything, is going to connect people with you and make them want to work with you. I also don't want you guys to over-obsess with every single post's results. This is a really hard one, and even I struggle with this sometimes. Getting attached to each post that you put out there can do a lot on your mental health. I promise, because you post something and a day later you got 0 likes, it makes you wonder if you really meant to do this. I recommend taking a step back from that and just posting and posting and posting, and then going into your like page and clicking the insights tab and track the trends for what kind of posts people are and aren't interacting with. If you're not sure what that is, my last webinar, the Like Page Basics, goes over that. If you need or want access to that webinar, please let me know, and I will either email it to you or get you a link in a private message, whatever you need. The next thing is, don't compare yourself to others. Be unapologetically you. Don't go look at other coaches and say, well, they're getting like 50 likes and I posted the same thing and got nothing. Well, that's because you're trying to do something that doesn't reflect who you are. And a lot of times that shows through, especially like if you love the way a post comes out on somebody else's page. Because as coaches, we follow other people, we have mentors, and it's just kind of what we do. But if you don't take that post and change it up and reword it and make it sound like you, number one, that's rude. You took somebody else's content. But number two, people are going to be able to tell the difference between something you got from somewhere and something that came from the heart. So always be unapologetically you. And then the last thing in the don't section is, don't stop posting if your engagement drops or goes nowhere. Instead, take time to really evaluate why that's happening and address it as soon as possible. The 3 main things that I see happening are, maybe you decided to change the type of content you're posting and you lost the interest of maybe some people who weren't really your target market, or even some of the people who are. You really need to pay attention to that and make sure that what you're posting lines up with what you want to actually put out there and the people that you want to work with. Another thing is, are you actually growing your audience, or has your page been at a standstill? And basically what that means is, if you were doing great but haven't been growing your page and suddenly you start seeing a decline in interaction, that means the people on your like page are either you've worked through them, like they've been warmed up and they're on their way through a challenge or whatever, or they're bored or they don't care. So it's always important to continually be growing your audience on your like page and always keep fresh faces coming in. And then the last issue is people recognize when you are inconsistent. They notice when you disappear for a day. They notice when you don't post. And so just evaluate those 3 things and see if one of those are the issue. If not, well, then we can get into that later. So right now, this would be our Q&A session. However, I did not actually see anybody pop onto the live call. So I went ahead and recorded it. Oh, I see somebody. It didn't ding for me. Hello, whoever you are. If you have questions, go ahead and ask. I'll be happy to answer. If not, that's okay. You can always message me as well. So, I mean, I don't really have anything to cover this section of the webinar. I was really hoping somebody would be here to ask something. But it is a Tuesday night, and I know there are some other things going on in Beachbody land that may be preventing people from being able to hop on. So no worries. I'll just hop into my closing. So what's next for you from here? Now that you have all this information, you may have recognized some things that you might have been struggling with that you didn't know were as important as they are. So if you're struggling with identifying your story and the value that you hold, or if you're struggling with your avatar or target audience, moving your business forward, hitting a wall with filling groups, building a team, success club, income goals, struggling with cleaning up or creating your like page or your branding or even knowing where to start to even begin any of that, I might be able to help. I'm not going to promise it because everybody's situation is different, but if you are curious about what else I do besides giving information like this, you can hop over to my website. It's heathernoelvas.com. Or if you really just want to chat with me and work through some issues that you're having, or have me help you with any of the things mentioned, just shoot me an email. I left it up here on the presentation, and I will be happy to get back to you and get started with helping you. So I want to thank you for joining me, whoever that is over there on the phone. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and I hope you have a great night. Again, I'm Heather Noel, and if you have any questions, concerns, or comments about the content in this webinar, or just anything in general, feel free to ask. I hope you have a great night, and I will talk with you guys soon.